In the bustling city of Nairobi lived a young couple, Alex and Aisha Mwangi. They were the epitome of love. At least, that was what everyone thought. Alex, a tall, handsome man with a calm demeanor, ran a successful estate business. Aisha, his wife, was a beautiful woman with an infectious smile, working as a fashion designer. They had been married for 8 years, yet their union was marked by one glaring absence: a child. The whispers had started as mere murmurs in the corners of social gatherings, but soon they grew into loud, malicious gossips. Whenever Aisha attended family events or neighborhood functions in places like Kilimani or Westlands, eyes would follow her and tongues would wag. The beautiful Aisha, they will say, married for 8 years and still no child? What a shame. The city people with their sharp tongues and even sharper eyes began to cast shadows over what was once a seemingly perfect marriage. The truth was hidden in a painful past, a past that gnawed at Aisha's heart every day. Years ago, when Alex and Aisha were young lovers and just dating, they had found themselves in a situation that some careless and wild young lovers often did. Caught between love and fear, Aisha had become pregnant. They were not ready for a child yet. Their careers were just beginning and they were not even married. In a moment of desperation, they chose the unfortunate. The process had gone wrong, leaving Aisha's reproductive system as the victim, a fact they would only discover after they were married and trying to conceive. The shame of their decision weighed heavily on them, particularly on Aisha. Each passing year, the longing for a child grew stronger and the pain of their past became a heavier burden. They consulted doctors, tried various fertility treatments, and even sought the intervention of spiritual healers, but nothing worked. Eventually, they decided that surrogacy was their only hope. After much thought and consultations, they agreed to ask Aisha's younger sister, Naliaka, to be their surrogate. Naliaka was a striking beauty, with a spirit as free as the Nairobi winds. She was younger by 3 years and had always been close to Aisha. Though she had her own career path in marketing, she nonetheless agreed to help her sister. After all, family was everything, and more so, it was just a few months of pregnancy to bring joy to her sister's life. She moved in with Aisha and Alex to ensure a smooth journey throughout the pregnancy. The process was successful, and soon Naliaka was pregnant with not one but two babies. The news of the twins brought immense joy to Alex and Aisha. It was as if the heavens had decided to compensate them doubly for their years of pain and waiting. Aisha's joy knew no bounds, and Alex's smile returned, brightening their home. However, as the months passed and Naliaka's belly grew, so did an unfamiliar feeling within her. At first, it was a mere whisper in her mind, a small voice that she could easily ignore. But as the babies kicked inside her, she began to feel a stronger, inexplicable bond with them, a bond that she had not expected. When the twins were born, the house was filled with laughter, cries, and the smell of baby powder. The joy was indescribable. Alex and Aisha named one of the twins Baraka, and the other they named Nima, meaning blessings and grace. For a while, everything seemed perfect, but soon the whispers in Naliaka's mind became a roar. She began to feel a possessive love for the twins. Her twins, she told herself. Please subscribe to this channel, like, share, and comment. They were a part of her, after all. As the twins grew, so did Naliaka's attachment. She began to spend more time with them, more than Aisha, which was understandable at first. After all, Naliaka was breastfeeding them. But even after the weaning period, Naliaka would insist on putting them to sleep, feeding them, bathing them. It was almost as if she did not trust anyone else with them, not even their biological parents. The change in Naliaka's behavior was gradual but unmistakable. She started to undermine Aisha subtly. "You are not holding him right, Aisha," she would say, while grabbing Nima from her sister's arms. Or, "Baraka doesn't like it when you do like that. Let me handle it." At first, Aisha let this comment slide. believing that her sister was just being protective. But soon, the remarks became more frequent and more pointed. One evening, while Alex was at work, Naliaka cornered Aisha in the kitchen. "You know," she said, her voice low but firm, "these children are more mine than yours. I carried them for 9 months. I went through the pain, the sleepless nights. I am their mother, you know." Aisha was taken aback, her heart in her chest. "Naliaka, you agreed to be a surrogate. That doesn't make you their mother." "But it does," Naliaka insisted, her eyes fierce. "You cannot understand, Aisha. You will never understand. You are not a mother." The words cut through Aisha like a knife. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She knew her sister well, but this was a side of Naliaka she had never seen before, a dark and possessive side. Days turned into weeks, and Naliaka's behavior became even more erratic. She began to dress differently, often wearing clothes that Alex had complimented on Aisha before. She started cooking Alex's favorite meals, sitting next to him more closely than was comfortable, and laughing a little louder at his jokes. Aisha noticed, but Alex seemed not to notice, brushing off her concerns as unfounded fears. Then came the day that would shatter their lives completely. It was a Sunday afternoon, and the family had gathered for a barbecue at their house in Karen. The sun was bright, and the air was filled with the scent of roasted meat and laughter. But underneath, tension brewed. As the afternoon wore on, Naliaka approached Alex. She had been drinking, her movements unsteady, her eyes wild with intensity that made Alex uncomfortable. "Alex," she said, her voice slurring slightly, "do you remember? Do you even wonder what it would be like if we were together?" Alex blinked, caught off guard. "Naliaka, what are you talking about?" "You and I, Alex," she continued. "We have something real, something deep. I carried your children after all. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" A hush fell over the gathering. Aisha, who was nearby, felt her world crumble. She had feared this moment, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of it. "Naliaka, stop this," Aisha said, her voice shaking. "This isn't right." But Naliaka was beyond reason. She turned to her sister, her face twisted in anger. "No, Aisha, you are the one who isn't right. You had your chance and you blew it. Now it's my turn. I deserve to be happy too. I deserve to be with Alex. I deserve to be the mother of the children." Alex stood frozen, his mind racing. He glanced at Aisha, whose face was pale with shock, then at Naliaka, whose expression was a mixture of anger and desperation. A tension filled the air, eyes darting between Alex, Aisha, and Naliaka, waiting for someone to break the uneasy quiet. Alex, feeling the weight of the situation, tried to speak, but his voice was caught in his throat. The reality of the moment was more than he could bear. Naliaka, sensing his hesitation, pressed on. "You know I'm right, Alex. We belong together. We have a bond that she will never understand. I can give you what you deserve, a family." Aisha felt her legs weaken. She clutched the edge of the picnic table, her knuckles turning white. "Naliaka, please," she whispered, tears streaming down her eyes. "We are family. Don't do this." But Naliaka's resolve was unyielding. Her eyes gleamed with a new determination, a resolve that sent shivers down Aisha's spine. "I'm done playing second fiddle, Aisha. I want what's mine. And if you won't step aside, then I will take what's rightfully mine." Alex finally found his voice. "Naliaka, stop this madness. You are drunk. You don't know what you're saying." But Naliaka just laughed, a cold, hollow sound that sent a chill through the air. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm saying, Alex. And I know exactly what I want." The guests, feeling the tension escalate, began to whisper amongst themselves. Some moved to leave, sensing that this was a family matter best resolved in private. But others stayed, their curiosity getting the better of them, wanting to see how this drama would unfold. As the sun dipped Alex knew he had to make a choice that would either shatter or save his family. But in that moment of uncertainty, all he could feel was the weight of Naliaka's eyes on him, waiting for his answer. Alex took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. The weight of Naliaka's words hung heavy in the air, and he felt the eyes of everyone at the gathering on him. He turned to Naliaka, his voice firm but gentle. Naliaka, you've done a great thing for us by bringing Baraka and Nima into this world. But we can't destroy our family like this. We need to talk away from everyone else. Naliaka's face tightened and her eyes narrowed. Talk? You think talking will change anything? I've already made up my mind, Alex. Either you choose me or I take the twins and leave. Aisha's breath caught in her throat. The room seemed to spin as her sister's words sank in. She looked at Alex, her eyes pleading for him to say something, to stop this madness. But Alex looked lost, his face pale with shock. He had never imagined Naliaka would go this far. Naliaka, please, Aisha finally managed to say, her voice trembling. You are my sister. We are supposed to support each other, not to tear each other apart. Naliaka's expression softened for a moment, and for a fleeting second, Aisha saw a glimpse of the sister she had known all her life. But then, Naliaka's face hardened again. I did support you, Aisha. I gave you my body. I gave you my time, my life for these past months. And what do I get in return? Please subscribe to this channel, like, share, and comment. Nothing, nothing but the knowledge that these children will never see me as their mother. I won't let that happen. Aisha shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. They are our children, Naliaka, Alex and mine. You agreed to this. You knew what you were getting into. Naliaka laughed, a bitter hollow sound that seemed to echo through the garden. Agreed? You think I knew how it would feel? How could I have known how much I would love them? How much they would mean to me? You can't understand, Aisha. You don't have a mother's heart. Alex finally stepped forward, his face set with determination. This is enough, Naliaka. We won't let you take our children away. We need to talk, and we need to talk to someone to get help, a mediator or a therapist. But this can't go on. Naliaka's face twisted in anger, and she took a step towards Alex, her voice rising. You think a stranger will understand? This is about us, Alex, about what we mean to each other. You know there's something between us, don't you? Please don't deny it now. Aisha in shock, her heart breaking as she watched the exchange. She felt a surge of anger, a fierce protective instinct that she had never known before. Naliaka, I won't let you ruin my family. You need to leave now. For a moment, there was silence. Then, without warning, Naliaka's face crumpled and she let out a sob. You want me to leave, Aisha? Fine, but I'll take what's mine. I'm their mother and I'll fight you for them. The threat hung in the air like a dark cloud. Aisha felt her world collapsing around her. She had never imagined her sister would turn against her like this, that the bond of blood could be so easily shattered. Alex moved closer to Aisha, his hand on her shoulders, his face filled with worry and regret. We'll figure this out, he whispered. I promise. But Aisha could see the uncertainty in his eyes, the fear that he might lose everything he loved. Naliaka turned away, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. She walked past the stunned guests, past the twins who were now playing quietly on the grass, and into the house. A moment later, they heard the door slam shut. Aisha and Alex stood together, their world unraveling around them. The guests slowly began to leave, murmuring amongst themselves, casting glances filled with pity and curiosity. Aisha felt numb, her heart aching with a pain she couldn't describe. She had lost her sister, and now she feared she might lose her family as well. That night, as the twins slept peacefully in their cribs, Aisha could not sleep, staring at the ceiling. Alex lay beside her, his arms around her, but she could feel the distance between them. A chasm had opened up, and she did not know how to bridge it. The days that followed were a blur of tension and unease. Naliaka had moved out, but she remained a constant presence in their lives, calling Alex at odd hours, sending messages filled with pleas and threats. She insisted she wanted to see the twins, and when Alex refused, she threatened to take them to court. Aisha's heart ached with every message and every call. She couldn't understand how things had gone so wrong, how her sister, once her closest confidant, turned into someone she barely recognized. She felt guilty, a sense that this was all her fault. If only she hadn't asked Naliaka to be their surrogate. If only she had found another way. Alex tried to be strong for her, but Aisha could see the strain tearing on him. His business began to suffer. His focus divided between his work and the drama unfolding at home. They barely spoke, the silence between them heavy with unspoken fears and regrets. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, Aisha finally broke the silence. Alex, do you think do you think she could actually take them from us? Alex looked at her, his eyes filled with sorrow. I don't know, Aisha, I don't know. The law can be complicated in cases like this, but we can't let that happen. We'll fight her, no matter what. Aisha nodded, but she felt a chill run down her spine. She knew Naliaka was determined, that she wouldn't give up easily, and deep down she feared that Alex too was torn between his loyalty to her and the feelings he had for Naliaka. The weeks dragged on, each day filled with tension and dread. Then, one morning, as Aisha was preparing breakfast, the doorbell rang. She opened the door to find a man in a suit standing on the porch, a stern expression on his face. Mrs. Mwangi? He asked. Yes, Aisha replied, her heart pounding. He handed her an envelope. You've been served. Miss Naliaka Acheng has filed for custody of the twins. Aisha felt the world tilt beneath her feet. She clutched the envelope, her hands trembling. She turned to Alex, who had come to the door, his face pale with shock. She's really going to do this? Aisha whispered, her voice barely audible. She's really going to take them from us? Alex wrapped his hands around her, pulling her close. We'll fight this, Aisha. We'll fight with everything we have. But as they stood there, holding each other, Aisha couldn't shake the feeling of dread that settled over her. She knew that their battle had only just begun, and that the road ahead would be long and filled with heartaches. The weeks that followed were a blur of court dates, legal consultations, and sleepless nights. Naliaka hired a high-profile lawyer from the city, a man known for his ruthless and cunning behavior. Aisha and Alex found themselves thrust into a legal nightmare, their lives dissected and scrutinized under the cold, unforgiving light of the courtroom. Each day brought a new revelation, a fresh wound. Naliaka's lawyer painted a picture of a woman who had been used and discarded, a sister who had sacrificed everything for her sibling, only to be cast aside. He portrayed Alex and Aisha as selfish, manipulative people who had exploited Naliaka's good nature and had tricked her into giving up her children. Aisha wanted to scream, to shout out the truth, but every time she opened her mouth, she felt the weight of guilt pressing down on her. She knew she had made mistakes, but she also knew they had done what they thought was best. Yet, as the days dragged on, she began to wonder if it was enough. One afternoon, after another grueling day in court, Alex and Aisha sat in their lawyer's office, their faces drawn and tired. What are our chances? Alex asked quietly. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, sighed. Honestly, it's hard to say. Surrogacy laws in Kenya are still developing, and there aren't many precedents. Naliaka's lawyer is building a strong emotional case, and the judge may be swayed by that. But we have a good chance if we can prove the agreement was clear and that Naliaka is acting out of spite rather than genuine concern for the twins' welfare. Aisha nodded, though her heart felt heavy. She glanced at Alex, who was staring out at the window, his jaw clenched. She could see the worry etched on his face, the fear that they might lose the twins. That night, As they lay in bed, Aisha turned to Alex, her voice barely a whisper. What if we lose them, Alex? What if Naliaka takes them away? Alex turned to her, his eyes filled with pain. We won't, Aisha. I won't let that happen. But as he pulled her into his arms, Aisha could feel the uncertainty in his embrace, the doubt that lingered just beneath the surface. And she knew that no matter how much they fought, no matter how strong their love, there were some battles that couldn't be won. Weeks turned into months, and the court case dragged on, draining them both emotionally and financially. One day, as Aisha sat in the living room, her eyes fixed on a photograph of her and Naliaka as children, she felt a wave of nostalgia and pain washed over her. She remembered the days when they were both inseparable, two sisters who shared everything. How had things come this far? How had they let a beautiful gift turn into a nightmare that tore their family apart? Alex entered the room quietly and sat beside her. I spoke to our lawyer today, he said, his voice heavy with resignation. She thinks we could consider mediation. It might be our best chance to avoid a prolonged battle in court, and it's better for the twins. Aisha nodded, her eyes filling with tears. Maybe it's time we try to find a different way, Alex. This fighting is destroying us. It's destroying everything we love. The mediation session was set for the following week in a quiet office in Westlands. The atmosphere was tense as they waited for Naliaka to arrive. Aisha held Alex's hand tightly, her heart pounding in her chest. She had no idea what to expect, no idea if they could find a way to heal the wounds that had been inflicted. Naliaka arrived, her face pale and drawn. She looked tired, her once fairy eyes now dim with weariness. She sat across the room from Aisha and Alex, her hands trembling slightly. The mediator, a kind-looking woman in her 50s, began to speak, her voice calm and soothing. We are here today to find a way forward, she said. This is not about winning or losing, but about finding a solution. Please subscribe to this channel, like, share, and comment. That is best for the children and for all of you. You are all a family, and I believe that deep down, you want the best for each other. Naliaka was the next to speak. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. I never wanted anything to go this far, she admitted, tears welling up in her eyes. I just felt so lost. I carried those babies for 9 months. I love them. I still do. But I realize now that I let my emotions get the better of me. I did not want to hurt you, Aisha. I did not want to destroy our family. Aisha listened, her heart aching. She could see the pain in her sister's eyes, the regret and sorrow that mirrored her own. I know, Naliaka, she replied softly. I know you love them, and I'm grateful for what you did for us. But we have to find a way to move forward, for their sake and for our sake. Alex spoke next, his voice steady. We never wanted to hurt you, Naliaka. We were desperate for a family, and we thought this was the best way. We did not think about how it might affect you, and for that, we're truly sorry. But we can't keep living like this. We need to find a way to be a family again. The mediator nodded, encouraging them to continue. It's clear that there was a lot of love here, a lot of shared history. Let's try to find a path that allows you to heal and to rebuild trust. After hours of talking, tears, and raw emotions, an agreement began to take shape. Naliaka will remain a part of the children's lives, not as their mother, but as an aunt, a loving presence who would always be there for them. Aisha and Alex agreed to let her have regular visits, to involve her in their lives in a way that was healthy and positive for everyone. As they signed the agreement, a sense of relief washed over the room. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. It was a chance to heal, to build the bonds that had been shattered. In the weeks that followed, things slowly began to improve. Naliaka moved back to her own place, but she visited the twins regularly. spending time with them in a way that did not undermine Aisha and Alex's role as their parents. The tension between the sisters eased, replaced by a careful but growing trust. One sunny afternoon, as they sat together in Aisha and Alex's garden, watching the twins play, Aisha turned to her sister. "We've been through a lot, Naliaka, but I'm glad we're finding our way back to each other." Naliaka nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Me too, Aisha, me too." The journey ahead will not be easy, but for the first time in a long time, they felt hopeful. Together, they could face whatever came next.